Okay, so we're trying to pull this power steering pump, and there's this one bolt that you take the nut off and you just slide that bolt back. Well, there's a problem. It's running into the turbo manifold, as you can see. So that bolt, basically I need to pull the turbo manifold to get clearance, which requires pulling a whole bunch of stuff and new gaskets and ugh. So I have another plan. So we're 6 minutes into this. I just took my Dremel and I wasn't able to cut all the way through. Maybe if I got a new wheel I could, but I sliced through it a decent amount and I bent it with a pry bar. So now it's like under the runner, kind of, almost. We're about to just hit on it with a hammer and see if we... Okay, good news. So we were able to hit on the bolt. You can see it's physically running into that runner. It's bent because we sliced it. But we couldn't get the bolt all the way out, but we got it far enough that we cleared the pump. So now we should be able to take the pump out and that bracket, and then the bolt should fall out whenever the bracket comes off. So that worked. That cost us maybe 8 minutes and a bolt. Or it took 8 minutes and cost us a bolt. Saved us from pulling a turbo, a downpipe, a manifold, hoses, and blah, 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 and new gaskets, which the gaskets alone were probably 25 if you don't count shipping or time to go pick them up. So, well worth it. And plus, we'll probably never, if we never use power steering again, then losing that bolt doesn't matter. We had to cut it a second time, but it did come out of there once the pump was removed. Cutting it the second time was easy. So, here you go. Maybe took 10 minutes doing it that way. Maybe. But worth it. Also, I've made this huge discovery. There's a lot of space for a bigger turbo. Alright guys, so we're about to knock off for the night. I just thought I'd show you. We got that pump out of here. We have a ton of space. Check this out. So if I tape measure on the compressor, and then we look at the turbo, I mean, we got about 8 inches just to the bottom of the turbo. So we got a ton of space here. So we'll probably put something there one day. And also we got room for a bigger turbo, which is nice. So after looking at that old radiator hose, I think we're going to replace it. So I'm going to try to see if I can pick up one tomorrow. If I can, I'm going to replace it. If not, I'll probably leave it because now it's actually easy to get to since the power steering's gone. So I guess it's really not an emergency that I change it. So anyway, we're going to knock off for the night, and tomorrow our plan will be to pull that compressor, clean all that stuff up, put the new compressor on, change the alternator belt, so hopefully we don't hear that squealing anymore because that's been driving me insane. And get that steering rack put back on. Anyway, you guys take it easy. So guys, good news about their intake. After getting rid of the power steering, it is technically sort of feasible that we could get this air filter to fit. As we can see, it's already almost on the turbo, and this isn't the right size. So it's going to be tight. We're going to need like some curved piece of silicone or something that changes diameters, and it's going to be tight packaging. But it looks like it's almost possible to put this filter on here. It gives you a picture of it. And I don't know if that hits the hood. I haven't checked that. Let's see. That's close. Okay, well, it may run into the hood too, but maybe we can fix that too. I don't know. Anyway, it looks like it's maybe possible to put the filter here. So we'll take a look, see if there's any other options, but moving the power steering reservoir did buy us some space. Alright guys, so we've been having a belt slip problem for the last few startups, and it's the alternator belt, and these pulleys, I just got done cleaning them. They have some very light surface rust, but these were rusty and pitted and pretty bad shape just from sitting. I'm sure they just basically started to rust. So I'll show you this. Try to zoom in a little. So, man, that still looks rusty. But that's mostly surface rust. I guess next time I pull the alternator, I'll try to clean it better. So, we're going to see if this fixes it. What we did, we took a wire brush and we started brushing on it, and that didn't really fix it. And then I grabbed some 220 sandpaper and I basically just folded it up, stuck it in the groove of the pulley, and then, you know, spun the pulley while I held the sandpaper in the groove, and a bunch of like rusty dust came off, there's a lot of surface rust and kind of flakes and stuff that all came off. So the pulleys are a lot smoother, and you can actually see shiny metal on them now. So should be a lot better. Yeah, you can kind of see some clean metal there. Like I said, they're not perfect, but I don't want to pull the alternator and all that right now. So I sanded on them until I thought they were clean, and then I kept sanding on them some more because I really don't want to hear belt squeal anymore. And when I really thought I had it, then I got some brake parts cleaner and just sprayed it down. So we're hoping, well, okay, so we got the pulleys clean, and then last thing, that's the old belts, and there's the new one. So we're gonna put a new belt on it. The old belt was actually tight, and it still slipped, but let's see, yeah, it's this one. Look at this belt. This is, so it's brittle, like you push on it, it feels hard. You can see it's just full of cracks. So basically this is just a worn out old belt. No surprise that that slipped. But in the interest of not having problems, we just went ahead and cleaned everything. So now we've basically used the wire brush, which was worthless, sandpaper, which actually removed rust, and then I did hit it with a wire brush after that, just to see, and then brake parts cleaner to really get all the oils off. So hopefully we got clean dry metal now, and we won't have belt slip. Fingers crossed. Boom, alternator belt. The one we purchased online didn't, it was like a Daco. It seemed to be machined weird. It didn't have any V-grooves machined. It didn't fit in the pulley right, so I had to go to the store and buy a Gates belt. But this one fits pretty good. And we tensioned it. It's all looking good. Good news, we got the compressor pulled. So we cleaned all this up a little bit. We had power steering fluid everywhere, and there was some dirt and whatnot. So cleaned up the subframe where the rack goes. You can kind of see it. You can actually see black paint there now. That was all nasty before. So yeah, that section opened up. I think we're about to throw the compressor on. We even cleaned the bolts. Here's the old bolts. We just took a wire wheel to the heads and to the threads of the bolts to get them all cleaned up, and then brake parts cleaner to remove the oils. So always do that with fasteners just to minimize the chance of damaging anything. So check this out. This is, I forget exactly, but around 430 bucks I think for this compressor. It's brand new. Almost all the ones I found are rebuilds, and I've been given advice that rebuilt AC compressors are not the same as a new one, and or a cheap one. And I think that's true just from personal experience, because I've had cars where I changed the AC compressor and it would fix the AC, but it was never seemed to be as cold as it used to be. Or maybe on a hot day it's not as cold as it used to be. Like maybe it just didn't have the same performance. So could be some truth to it. So we have, oh, this is a Denso. Okay, well, yeah, that's why it was so expensive. Look at that, made in Japan Denso. So hopefully we got a good compressor. But it's actually it's off camera, but the original was a Denso as well. So it looks like we may have just gotten a factory replacement. Anyway, happy about this. I love having cold air conditioning, and all the people that keep telling me to take AC off the car, you can suck it, because this is a street car and it's going to have AC.